Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. I need a haircut, so I put on my hat again today. I'll get that taken care of tomorrow. Anyway, so glad you decided to join us again today. We're still in a celebratory mood. I'm still on a high. Butter, you've joined me in.
We're wearing these hats for different reasons.
Why are you wearing a hat?
You need a haircut. I don't have any hair.
Oh. All right. So that's not making fun of me, the hat?
I just want to be part of the club.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Anyway, I'm still on a high.
I know, me too.
I'm still on election night high. It's been a great week, one of the great weeks in recent years. It feels as good as I thought it would feel. Got a great show planned for you today. I'm going to walk you through that Stephen A. Smith is actually running for president of the United States. You think I'm joking, but I'm going to walk you through. That is not a joke. He is actually running for president, and I'm going to explain all that to you today. A terrific, fascinating Thursday night football game last night with the Baltimore Ravens winning 35-34. The Bengals miss a 2-point conversion at the end. We'll discuss that as well. Some interesting football games to talk about this weekend, both in college and pros. Myself and Steve Kimball have some prize picks about that. And wait till I show you this clip of Baltimore's mayor snapping about Donald Trump and how he had to look at his wife and tell her everything's going to be all right, baby. We'll talk about that with Shemeka Michelle to kind of wrap up and put a button on the end of this awesome election week. So a lot to discuss. Before I get into the Stephen A. Smith part of this, and I'll just give me a minute. I'm going to explain all that. I do want to tell you I was driving in to the studio this morning, and I was listening to CNN. Again, I like to go behind enemy lines, see what the other side is saying. And they were talking about, they had a guest on talking about, holy cow, what? Just beating the drums of the racism drum like they always do. And I sat there and I thought about my mother and other people that are attached or addicted to CNN and MSNBC and corporate legacy media. And I was like, oh my God, no wonder they're so confused. They watch this stuff, they're fed this propaganda 24/7, 365. Racism. That's everything's about racism. And oh my God, if it wasn't for racism, Kamala Harris, would be president. And I'm like, if this is what they're being fed over and over and over again, no wonder they're misinformed and out of step with what's going on in the real world. And it made me think about why you need a Blaze TV subscription. And I say that in all seriousness. This isn't me just caping up for the people I'm in partnership with. This is me just like, you have to have an alternative source of information. You have to have a source of information disconnected from the regime and the people in power that are constantly just lying to you over and over and over again about how, everything is predicated on racism or sexism or homophobia. The Blaze is offering its biggest discount ever at $47. They've extended it for another few days here. You can unhook yourself, unhook a family member from getting information from corporate TV that's lying to them constantly by getting your information from right here with the Blaze. Go to blazeelection.com/fearless and subscribe right now, and you can get use the promo code 47. You can get $47 off your subscription. You got to do this. And I say this in all seriousness, you got to do it. It's the best thing you can do if you want more people informed, if you want to save more of your family members from the constant misinformation being preached to them. Get yourself a subscription, get them a subscription. Just tell them to try it out. Just listen to the other side so that they're not caught blindsided on election night and find out that, all of America is moving one direction while they're moving the other direction. Become a Blaze TV subscriber. BlazeElection.com/fearless. $47 off right now. All right, let me get into Mr. Smith goes to Washington. And Mr. Smith is Stephen A. Smith. And that sounds absolutely crazy that a sports talk debater, ESPN blowhard, is running for the 2028 presidency. But he is. And I'm not joking. And it speaks to just how out of ideas, how crazy things are, that Disney and Bob Iger and part of the controlling class, the puppet masters, want to put Stephen A. Smith in the White House. Do you know what that says about us, this country, what the qualifications are for the presidency? You've heard me explain on this show, walk you through Stephen A. Smith's alleged memoir and all the obvious lies in his memoir. And I told you back then, I was like, man, I'm reading this book. I think they want to run Stephen A. Smith for the presidency. They've written a farcical fantasy story about Stephen A. Smith's background and upbringing because they want to sell this guy as a presidential candidate. And that sounds crazy, but it's the truth. And we saw that 2 days ago or a day and a half ago, or whenever it was, 48 hours after the election, The View says, hey, let's have Stephen A. Smith on. The TV, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, The View. They said 48 hours after the election's on Tuesday. And so I believe on Thursday, yesterday, Stephen A. Smith is the guest on The View. You know what? One of the most consequential presidential elections in American history just happened. And we've known for 4 years it was going to happen on November 5th. Let's have the host of a sports debate show on The View. And again, some of you aren't familiar with TV and how it works, but these decisions are made well in advance. They're not willy-nilly. They didn't have Stephen A. Smith on because LeBron James scored 100 points and they was like, someone get a sports person on here that can talk about LeBron James just broke an all-time record. No, they brought Stephen A. Smith on Thursday. Election's on Tuesday. They bring him on Thursday to talk about presidential politics. A sports pontificator. Was Jim Rome unavailable? Tony Kornheiser, Mike Wilbon, Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp, Colin Cowherd? Were all these people unavailable? No, we got to have Stephen A. Smith on. This is calculated. I believe the View is on ABC, another Disney-controlled network. He's being placed on this show so that he can talk about, so they can joke about and throw out the possibility that he might run for president. Let's play SOT number 3. Here's Stephen A. Smith on The View getting asked about running for the presidency.
But if you came to me and you told me I had a legitimate shot to win the presidency of the United States of America, I would definitely consider it. But here's the problem.
So you want to break through the line?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes, absolutely. For that, yes, because others have. okay, including Democrats, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, they broke the line. What's wrong with me doing it? But I would be independent because I don't like either side, and I'm not going to be bought and paid for. I'm going to do what I believe is in the best interest of the American people, whatever that may be, and I'm going to make my decisions, and I'm going to stand on it.
And that
Stephen A. Smith, a clown, a person who got held back in 4th grade by his own admission. People thought he was retarded. People thought he should be riding the short bus. Stephen A. Smith, who by his own admission had high school guidance counselor laugh at the thought of him going to college. Stephen A. Smith, who, again, really struggled intellectually, went to a junior college allegedly to play basketball, went to Winston-Salem State allegedly on a basketball scholarship after knocking down 17 straight three-pointers. Stephen A. Smith, who everybody in the journalism profession knows beyond a shadow of a doubt has 8th grade writing skills. Everybody knows this. He's a blowhard that has a memory where they can teach him big words, and he has a pretty expansive vocabulary. Someone's taught him that. He's got good memory skills, I guess, as it relates to memorizing big words and how to use them. That's his skill, verbal. The man who barely knows sports, a pathological liar if you read his book. Disney and Bob Iger have said, this is a guy we want to run for the presidency. I said this 8 months ago. 2 days after the election, he's on The View talking to these women like he's a legitimate candidate for the presidency. And then they're asking him additional questions. Here's Stephen A. Smith talking about, and this is, again, if you read his book, where he takes a dump on his father, where he previously had never taken a dump on his father, had talked in reverential terms about his father before the book, before they started saying, hey, there's a certain narrative that you have to adopt and place into this book, Stephen, for us to run you for president, and it has to be that your mama is everything, and your mama did everything for you, and your dad was basically a waste of time. When I was reading this, I was like, well, hold on, man, this ain't the way he used to talk about his father, but in this book, what's he doing? He's trying to position himself as an ideal candidate, as a Democrat, to run for the presidency. Here he is on The View talking about his reverence for black women, SOT number 4.
Let me ask you this. How you want to speak?
No.
Sorry.
Sure.
Because Howard Stern says that he wasn't confident that the country was ready to elect the first female president because he knows, quote, how men talk behind closed doors about us. So we're very privileged to have a great guy here today.
Yeah.
Tell her, what do men say about us behind closed doors?
First of all,
Yeah. Say it to our faces.
Yeah.
Do tell.
I don't hide, so no worries there. Here's the deal. I respectfully disagree with Howard Stern, only from the standpoint that I wish he had been more specific. Why don't you say white men? Because let me tell you something about black men. We love our mamas.
I know that.
And we revere black women. And when we're trifling, we know it's us. It's not them.
Right, yeah.
You understand? So when he's saying that, okay, well, then let's talk about white men. We have a white power structure that still exists in this country today. I understand the white populace in this country was over 85% at one time. It's now dipped to about 57.4%.
Yep.
The white power structure is still in place. So when we talk about misogyny, when we talk about chauvinism, when we talk about women not necessarily being empowered, well, who's in a position of power to surrender some of that power? It's white men. So I think that when Howard Stern was talking, I can't speak to what white men are thinking. I can tell you this much. Black men, we revere women.
Yeah.
We don't have any problem looking at a woman as a leader. I can tell you.
Let me translate that for you. He's arguing that he is so biblically unsound and that black men are so detached from a biblical worldview that they treat black women like Jesus. That's what he's arguing. And he's arguing that black men have established their mothers and black women as an idol. He's talking about idolatry. And he's got it completely backwards in terms of the way a man should think. I do have a problem with falling in line behind a woman, because that's not what God wants me to do. That's not what men are meant to do. Men are meant to follow God and to lead women and children. Women are meant to follow men who are following God. Those are the facts. And this worship of the matriarchy and this whole pretend reverence of black women. Oh, we revere black women. We revere our mothers. Now, we will impregnate them and not marry them at the drop of a hat. But we revere them. We respect them. The man is lying, but he's running for president. This is the kind of clown that they want in the Oval Office. And trust me, this sounds like, Whitlock, there's no chance of this. There's no chance that even if Bob Iger and Disney wanted to do this, it can't be done. Yes, it can. They put a woman on the Supreme Court who wouldn't say what a woman is. And you think they can't install Stephen A. Smith into the Oval Office? They have no respect for the intellect or the judgment of the American people, because they know that these idiot boxes, these televisions, these corporate media brainwashers, they know they're so effective that they can convince you that Stephen A. Smith is a viable leader for all of America. He's running for president. He's not hiding it. Everywhere he goes, from Hannity to to Howard Stern, it always seems to circle back to, hey, Stephen, talk about you wanting to run for president, or you would be a good president. He went on a podcast with J.J. Redick and was talking about politics, and this has been going on for months. This plot probably hatched 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. His association with Hannity, and Hannity treating this person like he's a serious person and a serious commentator in politics. This is all a rigged job, and this is all uniparty. This is why I'm MAGA. I don't trust these typical political people, and Hannity's one of them. And I don't dislike Hannity, but he's participating in the uplift and the installment of Stephen A. Smith as some sort of political leader. But here's Stephen A. Smith with J.J. Redick. Play that clip.
I'm not going to fake the funk or whatever. I just know that when I do things, I know how to resonate with an audience. And if I were doing politics, we talk about real life issues, things that affect the average everyday American. And the thing that would be so dangerous about me is I'm not one-sided. Sometimes the liberals are right. Sometimes the conservatives are right. It's on a case-by-case basis. But the one thing I could assure you of is I would piss off millions. Literally subject by subject, because I'm taking a side, and I'm not scared to do that. I'm scared to take an ideological position. because I don't believe in that. I believe that it's a case-by-case basis. I think it's very impractical.
Living in the gray.
That's right.
Living in the gray.
I'm not that guy. I'm a guy, the incident touch, how I feel about gay rights is entirely different by how I might feel about the economy. I'm a liberal when it comes to gay rights. I am a fiscal conservative when it comes to my money. I can't stand paying taxes. It drives me nuts. And one time I was approached by Governor Ed Rendell in Pennsylvania. He wanted me to run for Senate. Yeah, he said you should do it. I said, you don't know, I'm not a liberal. You know, I'm not a conservative either, but I'm not. He said, don't matter with you. Don't matter with you. You're a voice that needs to be heard. He told me this about close to 10 years ago.
This is a clown who, he's not lying or exaggerating there, that from Chris Christie to Rendell there are people in Stephen A's ear telling him, we're going to run you for political office. We're going to run you for the presidency. And he works at the company Disney that made a decision years and years ago. Hey, we're going to turn all these kids trans. We're going to turn them all gay. We're going to make it happen. Yes, I know the gays are only 2 or 3, 4% of the population, but trust me, over time, we're going to get that number up to 25, 30%, 50%. They're all going to be bisexual. And they've been executing that plan. And as far-fetched as you think it is that they haven't hatched a plan that Stephen A. Smith, just like, because he's right on message. Comes to gay rights, I'm down with it. I like Diddy parties too. That's all he said. He's flexible. He will bend over on command. He's let for power, he will do anything. Remember how often I talk about Game of Thrones and how it was just a show about what men and women will do for power? And I talked about Stannis Baratheon, and this man burned his daughter at the stake for power. Burned his daughter at the stake. I know it's a fictional show, but it's a show about like men and women, there's nothing they won't do for power. Stephen A. Smith just told you, I will bend over, I'll do whatever, drop to my knees, whatever for power. I'm down for the play. But financially, and again, this is why he loves to say, I'm fiscally conservative, but I'm liberal when it comes to social issues. What he's saying is, cut me a check and I'll throw away any value that I may have pretended to have. That's a politician. And that's why they like Stephen A. Smith. And they think we're all idiots. They think Stephen A. Smith pretending to be, oh, I'm this guy in the middle, I'm this centrist. They think that's the perfect message. He's not a centrist. He's satanic. He's part of the entire Diddy Epstein system. The abortion, pedophile, sex cult. He's down with all of that. Pay him enough money and he will promote and say anything. And he thinks that's the way we're all rigged. Hey, if our money's good, we'll look the other way on any and everything. Disney's running Stephen A. Smith for the presidency. I'm going to give you some additional clues. It's just like he's on The View, and Adam Schefter immediately tweets it out. Here's Stephen A. Smith talking about running for the presidency. Adam Schefter's got one of the most powerful Twitter feeds at ESPN, if not the most powerful. He's a NFL reporter. Why is Disney telling Adam Schefter to tweet out about Stephen A. Smith being on The View and talking about running for the presidency? This is coordinated. There's a podcast that John Oran from Sports Business Journal does. I like and respect John Oran. He covers the media for Sports Business Journal. and it's his, people feed him information, and he's a good reporter. But he's also like, he's an indicator. If you want to know what's going on behind the scenes in the sports media and which way the wind's blowing, pay attention to John Oran. He gets fed information, or he'll get fed a guest, and they'll talk about certain things to let you know, hey, this is what is going on in the sports media landscape and the sports media world. He had Ben Strauss on, another one of these controlled guys. Ben Strauss is the media reporter, or one of the media reporters for the Washington Post. Just in all transparency, I don't like Ben Strauss. He's on my beef list. He's written about me in the past. He's dishonest. He's controlled opposition. He's controlled media or whatever. So but what I'm about to say has nothing to do with my bias or lack of respect for Ben Strauss's journalistic integrity. Ben Strauss was fed a talking point by ESPN that he shared on John Oran's podcast Thursday or Wednesday. I'm not sure of the date. But this is how deep ESPN is into this positioning and movement to position Stephen A. Smith as a presidential candidate. They fed Ben Strauss, hey, Ben, we want you to go on a podcast, go somewhere, and talk about how Fox Sports 1 is the woke sports network and ESPN is the non-woke sports network. And so Ben Strauss goes on Oran's podcast to explain who are the two biggest faces of Fox Sports 1, Colin Cowherd and Nick Wright. And he goes on to talk about how Nick Wright and Colin Cowherd use all these left-wing woke talking points, and how Colin Cowherd's been trashing Donald Trump for months, and how Nick Wright is, an out-of-the-closet left-wing lunatic. He talks about all that. He doesn't use the word lunatic because he agrees with Nick Wright, but just goes, and then he says, who are the biggest stars at ESPN? And it's Pat McAfee and Stephen A. Smith. He walks you through how, they're not left-wing lunatics. Stephen A. Smith is a centrist, and Pat McAfee says X, Y, and Z. And if you actually listen to ESPN and what's been going on, they've moved away from Dan Le Batard and Bomani Jones and Pablo Torre, and they've leaned into Pat McAfee and Stephen A. Smith. The ESPN is walking away from all the left-wing stuff and now avoiding topics that they normally would cover. They're trying to present Stephen A. Smith as a centrist. They're trying to present ESPN as a centrist media organization so that they can lift up Stephen A. Smith as he's the unifier. He sees both sides of the issues. He'll indiscriminately call people racist, while on the other hand, he'll praise conservatives for being about money or something like that. Anyway, let's play the clip so you can hear it for yourself. This is very important, and the timing of this. The View on one day, Ben Strauss on another day, and John Oran describing ESPN as the conservative or conservative-friendly sports talk network. This is all calculated and done on purpose. Play the clip.
You want my FS1 take?
Yeah, I just want you to go right into it. Let's go.
All right.
Come on, it's like the day after the election. We're gonna dive into politics for a little bit on the sports media pod.
The one true woke sports network in November of 2024 is not ESPN, but it's Fox Sports 1.
Fox Sports 1, the sister network of Fox News, Ben Strauss believes is the woke sports network. Take me through your reasoning.
All right. Who are the faces of Fox Sports 1? They are Colin Cowherd and Nick Wright, correct?
Yeah, by and large, yeah, absolutely. Skip Bayless is gone. Yeah,
Colin Cowherd has spent the summer on, undressing Donald Trump as this charlatan and, terrible leader. And he did it a few times, sort of notably dipping into that territory for Colin Cowherd as sort of this anti-Trump bandwagon, and did it a few times. And then Nick Wright has spoken, pretty personally and deeply about gun control in the wake of the shooting in Kansas City. He's from Kansas City, spent a lot of time talking about that. More recently has put the Deshaun Watson injury, coverage of that, very starkly as how we talk about women, how we think about women in sports, but societally. I mean, pretty progressive stuff.
And let me interrupt you here for a second. They're doing this on air. So this is, you're not monitoring their social feeds. This is on FS1 that you're seeing this.
I think so, yeah. Or on their podcast, either one. And then on the flip side, who are the two faces of ESPN?
Well, you have Stephen A., of course. And I would put out there, this is another podcast topic that we got to do, like the Mount Rushmore of ESPN. But Pat McAfee, I would put up there, and I could see where you're going with this.
So Pat McAfee, not known for his progressive politics, I think not but a few days before Tony Hinchcliffe became the most famous comedian in America, he was on College Game Day yucking it up with Pat McAfee. And said, I think he made a joke about lesbians, sort of in that same vein as what you heard at the MSG rally. But, Pat McAfee has done, segments with Aaron Rodgers about vaccine efficacy and, did some stuff on the Algerian boxers during the Olympics. I mean, very much sort of in this anti-woke box, backlash to identity politics. Backlash to, the trans movement, backlash to affirmative action, that kind of stuff. And Stephen A. Smith is a regular on Sean Hannity's show. So, and I guess he espouses this very, very aggressive centrism where, if he says one thing about Republicans, he'll say something else about Democrats that he doesn't like. It's like a very much scaled, an algorithmic centrism almost that he delivers. And so the most famous people at Fox Sports 1 are out here delivering anti-Trump, progressively themed discourse commentary, and not sort of the opposite from the biggest names at ESPN. And I find that
this is all coordinated. None of this is on accident. In the back half of that clip, he starts talking about, again, the whole, look at ESPN, they let Dan Le Batard go, he's woke. They let Bomani Jones go, he's woke. Pablo Torre, Katie Nolan, blah, 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 blah. They let all the woke people go. And they've leaned into Pat McAfee and Stephen A. Smith, an algorithmic centrist. And again, what he's playing games with words. He's saying he's a fake centrist, that he's giving into an algorithm. He's trying to both sides of the issue so that both sides follow him. So he'll take a shot at Republicans one day and Democrats the next, and it's all calculated. It's not authentic. ESPN is trying to run Stephen A. Smith for president, and they're getting help from people that pretend like they're on our team. People that pretend, and again, this is where I just got to call a spade a spade. When I look at, the fraudulence is so thick and obvious around Stephen A. Smith. And for Sean Hannity to be helping mainstream and introduce him to a conservative audience, like, hey, this is the guy you should take seriously. This idiot who can't even follow the sports world, where he doesn't even know sports that well. Yeah, I'm going to pawn him off as a political voice that you should listen to. Hannity's not alone. Clay Travis, helped sell the Stephen A. Smith myth. Will Cain, who I like, helped sell the Stephen A. Smith myth. Most of these people aren't about this life in a real way. They're just like Stephen A. Smith. Whatever the money is flowing, whatever direction it's flowing, they will sell that. They will sell Stephen A. Smith, the biggest fraud in the history of sports media. And I know many of you are sitting around like, man, Whitlock, you're just jealous. You hate Stephen A. Smith. It's personal. That ain't it. I'm tired of the frauds. I'm tired of the Kamala Harrises. I'm tired of the Barack Obamas. I'm tired of the people, they dress up as black saviors to go out and promote the alphabet agenda. ESPN is committed to the alphabet agenda. Disney committed to the alphabet agenda. They want Stephen A. Smith to help sell the alphabet agenda and cover it in blackness. He's willing to do that. And people who you think are on your team are willing to help him do that. Because at the end of the day, all they care about is money. That's it. Fiscally conservative means I'll do anything for money, including prop up a fraud who's here to further promote the alphabet agenda. Notice earlier this week or late last week, I told you all it was late last week when LeBron James came out with his hyperbolic statement about Donald Trump and his endorsement of Kamala Harris. And I was looking, the New York Times wrote about it, the New York Post wrote about it, this network covered it. And I said, ESPN's not touching this. This is fascinating. They never touched it. LeBron James, the biggest star in sports, other than Caitlin Clark, but ESPN's biggest star in sports, LeBron James, comes out with this hyperbolic attack on Donald Trump and endorsement of Kamala Harris, and they never touched it. I was like, this is odd. What are they doing here? Why are they avoiding it? Because they don't want to touch that type of content. And you go listen to this, and you only got to listen like the first 14 minutes of that podcast between Ben Strauss and John Orad, and they cover how, or Ben Strauss talks about how ESPN's picking and choosing what storylines and narratives that they will even talk about and discuss. The LeBron James, Kamala Harris endorsement never appeared on ESPN.com. No one ever talked about it at ESPN. That's a choice. ESPN is trying to pretend to be centrist, trying to pretend that they're not at war with conservatives, trying to pretend like they're a platform that's above political partisanship. Stephen A. Smith, they're propping up as the spokesman for that. I will have to say, as it relates to Pat McAfee, the fact that he had Tony Hinchcliffe on College Game Day, that speaks to how desperate ESPN is trying to clean up its platform, trying to clean up its credibility, trying to present itself and reimagine itself as a fair arbiter between conservatives and liberals. They're pushing Stephen A. Smith for the presidency of the United States of America. If it wasn't so real, it's comical. It's comical. This man is a bona fide idiot, a pathological liar. You want to know why he snapped on me and did all that cursing and yelling, and you want to know why ESPN never batted an eye? The man made a complete fool of himself in ESPN, and ESPN did nothing about it because they're running him for president. And so they just had to eat that and ignore that. They didn't want to have to address that. Because you can't, that video, that his rant, his profane, and I called my minister and told him I was going to do all this. One of the most he's, again, everything that they say about Donald Trump, go watch that video of Stephen A. Smith attacking me and find one similar of Donald Trump doing that to anybody. This guy's a clown. And they're running for the presidency of the United States. Wanted to break that down to you. And look, I know it's well ahead of the conversation that you'll hear anyplace else on social media. It's hard for you to perhaps wrap your whole mind around it, but that's how corrupt ESPN and Disney and their collaborators and other networks are. That's how corrupt they are. And they're still all in on it together. And this is, again, why, like, Trump is still in very, very dangerous waters. These people are not going to go down easily. What's the one thing Stephen A. Smith would not say throughout this whole political cycle? He may occasionally criticize Democrats, blah, blah, but he never, ever stopped attacking Donald Trump and pretending like Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, a threat to humanity, a threat to, that he's some sort of Nazi Hitler.
Jason.
Yeah.
Based on everything you just said, why doesn't that make you optimistic? When this has been the case, he's only saying the same things they've been saying for the last, 4 years, and we saw what happened when the American people went to the polls. You should feel good about this.
I do, but I just want to warn people, don't go for this fake.
They're showing you that they're not.
That I don't think they've seen this form of manipulation. Someone pretending that, no, I'm in the middle. I'm great friends with Sean Hannity. Don't you see? Oh, Clay Travis and I are friendly with each other. Will Cain, conservatives like me. Kamala Harris nor Barack Obama could make that argument. This is a new attack with new collaborators. And again, Kamala Harris wasn't collaborating with Sean Hannity and Will Cain and Clay Travis. That's it's a wolf in better sheep's clothing. And so that's what I'm trying to alert you to in here. Why is he doing it now? Because again, the work that Trump and J.D. Vance and RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard and Vivek Ramaswamy, and they have to, we're not going to dig out from underneath this in 4 years. It's going to take about 12, 16 years to dig out from underneath this. Don't fall for these phonies, these wolves in sheep's clothing. And Stephen A. Smith is one, and I know this audience doesn't have much respect for Stephen A. Smith, but my hate watchers, y'all think Stephen A. Smith is harmless. He's not. He's no different. They'll have him on the cover of Newsweek magazine, the second gay president. Barack Obama was the first. Stephen A. Smith will be the second. Want to get to Steve Kim, some of these other topics. Before I do that, I want to talk to you guys about a new partner on the show, American Financing. Today's economic environment is still really stressful for a lot of us, but with the Fed finally dropping interest rates, there's no better time than now to put you and your family in a better financial position. If you're a homeowner, American Financing is helping thousands of families just like you who have been putting everyday expenses on credit cards get out from underneath that debt by tapping into their home's equity. American Financing is saving their borrowers over $800 a month on average. $800 a month is like a $10,000 raise at work, and it costs absolutely nothing to find out how much you can save. They are closing some in as little as 10 days. And if you start today, You may not have to make next month's mortgage payment. There is no better time than now to turn your situation around. Call today, 888-976-5555. That's 888-976-5555. AmericanFinancing.net/Whitlock.
NMLS 1823334, NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
We will now go to our next, Steve Kim.
I've been selling my stuff, hustling eBay, PlayStation car parts for little or no pay, so I can sit out here and watch the Titans play. Stumble on home and rub my blue balls away. It's a damn shame what the NFL has turned to for fans like me and fans like you. Wish I could just wake up and Patriots red, white, and blue, but I can't. This football nightmare's true. Living in a Madden world with Lombardi sold. These cowards bound to feminists, Lord knows they all just want to wear pantyhose and control what you think. Want to vex you and mask you, and they don't think we know that they drink Bud Light too. Cause these players don't hit, might as well have limp wrists. Cause of these cowards bowing down to feminists. I wish sports media would look out for fans and not just Taylor Swift promoting her brand. Lord, we out in the parking lot, tailgating, grilling meat, and the obese just can't wait to eat. Well, God, if you're a referee and blind as a bat, Roger Goodell should grow a pair and give you the axe. We had Derrick Henry, we played ground and pound, but the idiot Titans chased our king out of town. Lord, it's a damn shame what the NFL has turned to for fans like me and fans like you. Wish I could just wake up in Patriots red, white, and blue, but I can't. This football nightmare's true. Living in a Madden world with Lombardi soul. These cowards bound to feminists, Lord knows they all just want to wear pantyhose and control what you think. Want to vex you and mask you, and they don't think we know that they drink Bud Light too. Cause these players don't hit, might as well have limp wrists. Cause of these cowards bowing down to feminists. I've been selling my stuff, hustling eBay, PlayStation car parts for little or no pay.
모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 Isn't that I'm back just to feed you raps and I see that you up here below So fly
All right, welcome back. Time for our main man, Steve Kim, the Korean co-cell. Steve, I just walked through, and I know people are sitting out there, man, why is Whitlock talking about Stephen A. Smith today? Don't you know, it's a great Thursday night football game, and we're going to talk about it, and, you know, he could talk about, but am I crazy? I'm telling you, Steve, they're running Stephen A. Smith for the presidency. It's mind-blowing. It's idiotic, but I sincerely believe it. What say you?
Promise? Oh,
Yeah.
as long as he's going to run Democrat, yes. This is a win-win for you, me, Fearless. Think of the material we're going to get day to day. Like, we may only talk about Caitlin Clark 4 times a week during the WNBA season now. And this is the other thing, a little bit more seriously. I'm watching some of the post-mortem on some of the brand name networks, legacy media, and what do the Democrats have to do to retake the momentum of our country? And my view is this. There's always like these posters and their slogans, hope and change. As someone who's a diehard conservative, I hope they never change. I continually want the Republican Party and MAGA to keep making this a red wave. I hope you change nothing. And if you want to trot out Stephen A. Smith as the new savior, who's a flimsier, less credible version of Kamala and Barack, by all means, please do so. And Jason, you make an unbelievable point. I've thought this for a while. Whenever I hear anybody say, well, I am a fiscal conservative, but a cultural and social liberal, that means you have no guts, you have no fortitude, you stand for nothing. Because that basically means I want to have all the benefits of conservative legislation, but I want to be let off the hook because I don't care about anything else and I don't want any of the heat. That's not leadership. That is capitulation. And say what you want about Donald Trump. For the most part, that son of a gun is steadfast, and I respect that.
And it's a little catch-all phrase that's really meaningless because the issues impacting America, the deep state, FBI, CIA interference with things going on here in America or whatever, that's not covered under, I'm a fiscal conservative and social liberal. Well, what people are really arguing about is like, hey, who's really running the country? Is it the people we elect or is it secret puppet masters behind the scenes? I want to hear your position on that because Trump has cut out a clear position, like the deep state I'm going after and I'm trying to take down. What's your position on that?
Jason, here's the issue with the Democratic Party. And again, I hope they don't change. Please, be even more steadfast. In fact, stand your ground more than you ever have. Put cement on your feet. But one of the main reasons why I believe that they were defeated so dominantly is that they not only not lost the party of common sense. That used to be what their tagline was to a certain degree. They lost the common man. And when you associate yourself with that little mascot that Bud Light trotted out a year ago, Dylan Mulvaney, and then other people saying, hey, parents, you have no right to know if your kids are going to transition. And you know what? We're going to indoctrinate them. And we're going to do a drag reading day. And you as parents cannot pull your kids out. So I want a politician that has at least enough guts to say, no, we're going to stop that. Don't like it. It's wrong. And I want to do school vouchers, so make sure you have a choice. If you cannot articulate a position either side, then you're not cut out for the job. And Jason, you're absolutely right. Stephen A. Smith does not have enough acumen in something as unimportant as sports. So we're going to take him seriously in world and local and national politics. Say what you want about Donald Trump, because I think they're trying to take the playbook of, well, Donald Trump was kind of a celebrity. He was a rich guy, and he was in pop culture, and he did a TV show. So in a certain respect, Jason, what I think what they're trying to do is to position Stephen A. Smith as the black version of Donald Trump. Okay, here's the issue, and I think here's the difference. Donald Trump at least had business success. And prior to him even announcing he was going to run for president, he articulated specific policy positions that he would have as the commander-in-chief. Took a lot of heat for it, lost friends, but he stood on all 10 toes. And I said, you know what? In the immortal words of Logan Roy, he is a serious person.
Stephen A. doesn't have, quite frankly, Donald Trump's balls. And
Or brains.
that's where the analogy falls apart, though. But clearly that. But seriously, just where the analogy falls apart is even in the sports world. Donald Trump says, hey, I'm going to end boys playing girls sports. I'm going to stop men from going in women's locker rooms under the guise that, is sports and blah, blah, blah. Stephen A is in the sports world. You've got volleyball teams refusing to play against San Jose State. You've got Bill Thomas swimming against women in the NCAA. Never took a position on any of this. And so when Donald Trump's taking bolder stances in the sports world than Stephen A. Smith is willing to take in the sports world is because Stephen A. answers to Disney, the grooming network, and that's what this is all about.
Certain people are so proud of saying, I'm unapologetically something, right? When you take that position of, again, I'm a fiscal conservative, but I'm a liberal. Now that you're being very apologetic. And I'm watching something on X. It's an unbelievable series. I sent it to you. I suggest everyone on our fine, fearless audience watch it. Art of the Surge, on the inside look at the Trump campaign. And, about 6-7 weeks ago, he was at the Alabama-Georgia game. Bryant-Denny Stadium, got a large ovation. And he's doing an interview, and he actually said, what is going on with this NFL kickoff? I hate this kickoff. If I was the president, I'd go back to the old ways. I said right there, that's my president. That right there is just another piece of evidence that we chose the right guy, America. He will get that kickoff back. He'll get it back. He will make kickoffs great again.
I think when we look at this victory was so strong. What happened 2 days ago in this election uprooted this group. And I think it is exciting, and I think it's encouraging to see that they're going to not know what to do. And the first person that they're running out, and this is a Bob Iger play as well with Disney. Yeah. Bob Iger's aspirations for presidency and some of the things that he talked about, I think there's a little connection here with him. This should make us feel good. This is a good thing that they are scrambling so bad that Stephen A. Smith is a name and a person that they're running out there. No, and you said a minute ago, well, you're worried that he's in a sheep's wolf in sheep's clothing. The American people have showed you they can see through these things. I think it's a good thing.
I guess the reason I've seen so many people over the last 6 months, a year, when Stephen A. Smith says something that's conservative friendly, it's like conservatives lose their mind. Oh, look, Stephen A. Smith said this. It's no different than how they do Bill Maher every Friday night, Saturday morning. Oh my God, Bill Maher said this. And I'm sitting there and I halfway like the Bill Maher show, but I'm like, hey man, this guy is a committed atheist. This guy is not on our team. This is crazy. He still supports, and so these celebrations we keep throwing because someone from the other team says this, and we act like it's a big deal, and that's the reasonable. No, these people aren't reasonable. They're
Jason,
not. They're plants.
What you are describing is fake, forced, gerrymandered neutrality. And I see this in sports, journalism, and boxing. Hey, I said 5 good things about this guy and 5 bad things, right? But that doesn't mean that you're accurate all 10 times. We need to take pride in saying if there's 10 situations, we don't worry about, well, we're just evening up the score here. No. You got to have enough guts. If it's 9-1, positive to negative or inverse, tell the truth. I think that is a lack of backbone and guts. And Butter, to your point, you talk about the good thing. I want to point out something that actually did make me feel good in the midst of all the trolling and celebrating I've been doing this week. I've been seeing celebrations on college campuses all across the country of young people. When it was announced that Donald Trump was number 47, like outright celebrations, people running out into the streets, waving flags, running down the campus, beer bongs going, all sorts of like jubilation and joy, which I did not really see in 2016, because as Jason pointed out last week, that the veil of supporting Donald Trump is now slowly coming down and you can come out of the closet. But the fact that younger people are now openly celebrating, because I think they realize, you know what, we got to think about our future and our kids and what is this country going to be. I saw one great celebration from Auburn. And based on the way their offense looks this year, I'm glad those fine people have something to celebrate. Good for you guys. War Eagle.
I've seen a bunch of videos of college kids. The best thing Trump has going is the little Trump dance. I see people doing this everywhere. Kids are doing it. He's turned into the lovable grandfather for a lot of these college kids. It's
real though.
Yes.
It's not a charade. He is that guy.
Yeah, he's and that. Well, last thing, and then I want to move on to Bengals Ravens because it was interesting. But you know, Trump has already come out and made a statement. Again, this is where he's like stronger in the sports world than Stephen A. Smith. He's going to take action or try to take action to combat high ticket prices and the rising cost of attending sports events. He's already said this. They're acing the common man out of attending sports events. And again, I was one of those kids where my dad took me and my brother to Pacers games. We couldn't do that now at these astronomical prices. What it costs to park, what it costs for a hot dog, a beer, peanuts, or whatever. You can't do it. Trump said, again, Stephen A. Smith is taking no position while pretending that, hey, I'm the great unifier and I see both sides. And look at Sean Hannity, he likes me. And you know, not all, and I'll occasionally criticize Michelle Obama and miss me with all of it. Steve, you look like you got one more thing you wanted to say, or no?
Yeah, I mean, look, personally, as someone who does like sports, and I'll be attending a sporting event tomorrow, look, that's an unimportant thing. Okay, I think it's more important that the price of groceries, gasoline, and other goods that good Americans every day that we rely on. Okay, sporting events are a luxury. I want Donald Trump to work on the necessities for the good people of America.
Steve, not all sports fans have the luxury of working for me, a person who overpays his contributors, and they have all this discretionary income where they can fly to Atlanta,
what did I hear?
watch Miami cheat someone else out of another game. Not everybody can do that, Steve.
We sit in the boxes, the loges, you know?
Yeah. So you got to be able to relate to the common man that can't afford just.
Oh, God.
The guy's taken like 3 trips already. He's been to Miami twice. Now he's going to Atlanta to see him play. You're living you're one of those coastal
By the way,
flying private jets.
Yeah.
By the way, Georgia, another state that is now red and fine people. I cannot wait to spend some quality time with the fine Patriots, my fine fellow Patriots. But I want to make one serious point here. In watching The Art of the Surge, binged it yesterday. I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons why Donald Trump won and was a much more effective candidate than Kamala Harris, his ability to relate to anybody, the common man, the working man, people that could never do anything. And I get it, he's campaigning. But the way he treats his staff and some of what the staff says about him, let me just say something. I have much more respect, and I've always liked Donald Trump. But growing up, I always thought of Donald Trump as the guy that owned the New Jersey Generals. He signed Herschel Walker. He did some boxing matches, and then he became like this television celebrity. But the things that I've seen in that footage, it just makes me respect him even more as an individual, and I really hope that he can lead our country to better days.
Steve, let's move to Thursday Night Football. Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals. Baltimore wins 35-34. 2-point play at the end of the game with some no calls, 2 no calls. I think we're going to play a little bit of this. Let's play a little short clip here of the 2-point play the Bengals ran that was ineffective. There's a holding call that they say was missed. And then there was Joe Burrow, I think, got slapped across the face mask or yanked on the face mask. Was there a big crime last night? Was that a crime scene last night?
Not really, because then Ravens fans will say that guy didn't get the 4th down. I mean, look, we're not sure if the nose of the football actually crossed the 35-yard line. Here's the 2 things of this game that I take away. Is it Lamar Jackson's continued excellent play where it looks like to me he's going to add his third MVP trophy, Jason? I think he's playing at a level that is unprecedented for him. He looks very, very comfortable. Once that offense got going, the Bengals were almost powerless to stop him. So I'm not going to even second guess that decision to go for 2. I understand that move from Zach Taylor. Or are you worried about that Ravens secondary? Jason, it's that old joke. They're only 2 players away from being decent. Ed Reed and Chris McAllister. I really think Lamar might have his best year ever because, quite frankly, that's a very bad Baltimore defense.
It's a really bad Baltimore defense. The defensive coordinator might be in over his head. He's replacing a guy, Mike McDonald, that was very, very good. And you're 1,000% right. Lamar Jackson's scramble down the sidelines, he ran backwards, then beat the guy to the corner, then scrambled down the sidelines to the 1-yard line. There's only one quarterback in the NFL that could make that. I don't even think Kyler Murray could make that play. Even the good scrambling quarterbacks would have ducked out of bounds at some point. It just wouldn't have had the balance, the speed to overrun that guy's angle. It was, whew, my God, it was really, really impressive what Lamar Jackson did last night. I do think he's now clearly the clear-cut favorite to win MVP. But I'm also far less confident that he's going to be able to overcome that bad defense come the postseason. Patrick Mahomes has a much better defense, and I do think that's going to end up biting Lamar in the rear.
Yeah, and Jason, Derrick Henry, again, you have a Ferrari. Do not leave it in the garage. I don't think they got to him early enough, but he is an older running back. I do wonder if there's a pitch count that they're not telling us because usage rate is going to be important. And Jason, Lamar Jackson actually looks much more comfortable operating in the pocket. There were throws that he made even before the receiver broke that in the past, I don't think he had the confidence or the acumen to pull the trigger on. And that little pop pass he did where he put a little arc on it, it looks unconventional. But he is now not just an athletic quarterback, he's a multi-dimensional, skilled signal caller.
Derrick Henry had 16 carries last night for 68 yards. You know, they have one of the most box office offenses. The way that the quarterback position has really never been played like this, but we have this conversation every year, and it breaks my heart and confuses me that we don't talk about Patrick Mahomes and the season that he's having, knowing the struggles that they've had so far. That Lamar Jackson is the runaway MVP is a crazy statement to me. He's like Plinko. You ever watch Plinko on The Price is Right? The thing comes down and then boom, 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 and you just don't know what you're going to get with Lamar when the postseason starts. It's a bit of a crapshoot. The guy that has been the most steady for the last 3 years is 8-0.
I got you, but the last 3 years, but this season, it's not the. I think.
Where'd he go against the Browns 2 weeks ago?
I agree.
Plinko.
Hey, where'd he go in the first half of this game? He didn't look that great in the first half of this game, or the first half of the first half. He didn't look that great, but I don't think anyone can deny he's the MVP right now. And I understand come postseason, Patrick Mahomes will probably be the MVP.
Look.
But regular season, it's going to be Lamar.
Yeah, I mean, look, to go Price is Right on you, Butter, my reaction to the thing is, bump, bump, but we're talking about a regular season. Look, Butter, I'm not going to argue. Someone on Twitter who I really respect knows his sports. I said, this guy's headed to his third MVP. And he tweeted back at me, and I said, I'm in complete agreement because he said, Steve, as of right now, as someone who is a Lamar Jackson loyalist who has been let down, till he does something better than just losing the second game, he's the James Harden of the National Football League. So you're right in that sense. But again, we are talking about the regular season, 10 weeks in. he is the runaway landslide winner of the MVP award. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying.
And I don't even like the James Harden comparison. Let's call him Charles Barkley. You know why Charles Barkley's a great? We had never seen Charles Barkley. We had never seen a 6'4" heavyset guy with that kind of bounce who played that way, could play the power forward position, could step out to three. Didn't win a championship, but I like the Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley, a legitimate MVP. I've never really respected James Harden's MVP years, the whole three-point shot and all that. Anyway, Steve, I want to talk. We got some football picks to go over. Before we do that, guys, I want to talk to you about preborn. You know what our mission here is at Fearless. We know that life begins at conception. There's no organization that supports that worldview better and more effectively than preborn. Preborn provides expectant mothers an ultrasound. They introduce expectant mothers considering an abortion. They introduce her to the baby's heartbeat, the baby's image. That woman is now twice as likely to choose life. Preborn then steps in, steps up, supports that woman throughout the pregnancy, throughout the first 2 years of that baby's life. Preborn is awesome. They rescue 200 babies a day. Help us save babies' lives by donating to Preborn. On your cell phone, your smartphone, pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, keyword baby. Or give the way that I prefer to give, preborn.com/fearless. That's preborn.com/fearless. Nothing you can do today would give you more enjoyment, more satisfaction than saving a baby's life by supporting Preborn.
Mama Whitlock, would you line up? Mama Whitlock, would you line up? Pick more, pick less. Run your game, you gotta be fearless. Lock it in. Mama Whitlock, would you line up? Prize picks.
Welcome back, Steve. It's time for some picks for this weekend. People get to tap into my prognostication prowess. I should have been having you guys keep score because, to my memory, I'm not sure if I've missed any of these picks that I've been giving out. That's based on my memory. I think I'm a perfect 10-0.
You're the Lamar Jackson of prize picks.
Yeah, Jason, there's the whole Dallas Cowboys to the Super Bowl thing, but yeah, that's preseason.
Yeah, that's a prediction about the season. When it comes to games, I'm Whitlock-ist.
Okay, Jimmy the Greek.
So Colorado, Texas Tech. And, I'm really the wrong person to ask about this because I'm running on fumes here, rooting against Deion Sanders in Colorado. But I did see something this weekend this week that I haven't been able to suss out if it's real or not. Did you see that thing, Steve, or did you send it to me? The video of the guy saying he tried to make T-shirts or something with an American flag on it, and Colorado said no, they wouldn't accept any design with an American flag on it. So I'm going to make this pick based off emotion, based off of Colorado continues to do things that irritate me. And again, I haven't heard Colorado's story on this. Maybe there's a side to it, and maybe the guy's exaggerating why they wouldn't accept his design. But I'm picking Texas Tech in an upset here. They're going to outscore. It's going to be a shootout, some kind of 41-40, 41-38 type game. Texas Tech here.
You know, it'd be apropos, and again, the whole nixing of the American flag on the uniform, I'm completely against that, but it would be appropriate if Colorado had a marijuana leaf somewhere on their left sleeve. But anyway, Colorado is coming off of a bye. They're very fast and good on the outside. Texas Tech does not play great defense, and they're coming off an emotional win. Everything points to me, in my view, of a Buffalo stampede. I will go Colorado 48, the Red Raiders 35.
Yeah.
Got to keep it real.
Probably what I believe too, but I'm on an emotional thing.
Admittedly, though, I respect that. I respect your admitted bias.
I'm admittedly biased. All right, so Mama Whitlock has a prize pick here. She says Shador Sanders, more than 328 passing yards.
Yes.
I got to agree here with my mother.
Yes.
I'm gonna, that's some easy money. He's going to throw for a bunch. So we're both in agreement with we're picking more as it relates to Shador Sanders. All right, let's move on to a game with pretty significant implications for both Alabama and LSU, for DeBoer and for Brian Kelly. One of these teams is going to 3 losses and will be completely eliminated from the playoff conversation. Bama, LSU. I like the Tigers here. I know I've met Brian Kelly. I've never met Kellen DeBoer. So, and plus I just think Brian Kelly needs this more than DeBoer and Alabama. I like LSU here in a 6 to 8 point game. Yeah.
Jason, I disagree with that last statement. I think Kalen DeBoer replacing the guy he did to not make the playoffs in his first year after already losing to Vanderbilt. Now, the Tennessee loss, that's understandable. That's a top 10 team. But if you lose 3 or more games as Kalen DeBoer, I'm just telling you, that window where there's a honeymoon, you're now sleeping in separate beds. I think DeBoer actually needs this game more. But you know what? I'm going to go with the recent trend. The last 2 years, the home team has found a way to win this game. I will take the Tigers. Go Tigers, as Ed Orgeron would say in Death Valley.
All right, so we both agree there. Butter?
I don't know anything about these teams to any large degree. I'm an average sports fan. I'm going with whatever Mama Whitlock's got to go with.
Well, she's picking more or less on Jalen Milroe, quarterback for Alabama. She has Jalen Milroe more than 230 passing yards.
Yes.
I disagree with my mother here. I don't see that. I see this kind of a low-scoring game. Yeah. Go ahead.
LSU, they don't exactly have Patrick Peterson or the Honey Badger. That's not a great LSU defense, and Alabama does not run the ball well. So by default, I'm with your mother there. I think Milroe will surpass that number.
All right, let's move to the National Football League. This one here seems pretty easy. The Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas, I believe, will not have Dak Prescott, which could be a blessing.
Okay, JB.
According to Coach JB, this could be a blessing. But Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni, and the Eagles are on a bit of a roll, and I expect that roll to continue. I like the Eagles here, knocking off the Cowboys, and 7-8 point victory here. I like the Eagles. Steve, you say what?
I know a Dallas media member of note that we both know, and we DM each other. We've had a long-time relationship. He thinks that Dallas is dead. He thinks the season is over. That they really have almost like, I don't know if they physically quit, but mentally it's almost like, where do we go here? And the Eagles, I know A.J. Brown's banged up a little bit. They hate their coach, Sirianni. But they're a much better team. They have much more to play for. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Something we didn't talk about last week or early this week, coming off of last weekend, was Saquon Barkley's incredible run, which could be the backwards jump over a defender, could go down in history as the greatest run by a running back. I don't know what compares it. Maybe Marcus Allen reversing field in the Super Bowl and going all those yards for a touchdown. But, man, Saquon Barkley's been incredible. My mother, as a prize pick, has Saquon Barkley more than 91.5 rushing yards. I completely agree with her here. Dallas's defense has been atrocious, and I expect Saquon Barkley to rip off at least one 45-yard run, and that will help him eclipse 91.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, Dallas, their front can rush the passer a little bit. They don't like to scrape against the run game. I'm going to say yes. And Saquon Barkley on artificial turf, that's like turbocharging a Porsche. So keep that in mind, because I think this game's in Dallas, is it not? So I think that's a pretty safe bet there. I would actually agree with that one.
I think this is a trap game for the Eagles. I think they're going to get behind and have to play catch up late in the game. They're going to be throwing the ball late. That's why I don't think that he's going to hit the 91 yards. They're going to be playing the passing game in the fourth quarter. No running game.
I don't know. Can the Cowboys really be someone's trap game? People like beating up the Cowboys because it's a big national TV audience.
Just the flow of the Eagles right now. They're riding high. Everybody is down on Dallas. This is one of those games where I think the script gets flipped. I think they're going to be throwing the ball late. That's why I don't think he's going to get to the
Eagles favored by 7.5. I like the Eagles.
You guys on Monday, come see Butter on Monday.
Yeah, get the box ready.
And finally, Jets, Cardinals. The Jets are flying out to Arizona. They got a gun to their head. They won last week and looked halfway decent last week. The Cardinals really one of the surprising teams. They keep figuring out a way to. They're 5-4, figuring out a way to remain competitive in the NFC West. The Jets, despite a 3-6 record, despite being on the road, they're 1.5-point favorites heading out to Arizona. I like the Jets here just because Aaron Rodgers mocked LeBron James this week. I'm a very emotional gambler. So I like the Jets here, and I think they'll cover. Steve, you say?
Let me paraphrase. I think his name is Fireman Ed, iconic Jets fans. D-E-A-D. Jets, Jets, Jets. That team is done. I don't get the fascination. I've even jumped off the bandwagon here. And as you mentioned, Jonathan Gannon has the Cardinals playing very well. They are a very, very tough out. Now you said that they're at home. And Kyler Murray, look, again, that style of play may not be sustainable, but he's productive and he makes plays. They got to continue to get the rookie Harrison more involved outside. I like the Cardinals to actually win this game by double digits.
Ooh, we disagree there. Arbitrator, you say?
I think that the Jets, with their schedule and what's going on and just the aura of what's happening in America right now, are going to go on about a 7-game winning streak.
Oh, well, he said too much there. Let's go to Prize Picks. My mother with a unique play here in her lineup. She's got a combo pick. James Conner and Breece Hall together, more than 146.5 rushing yards. James Conner and Breece Hall both getting busy on the ground, according to Mama Whitlock. I agree with her. I'm going to say good bet, Mama Whitlock. Steve, you say?
So they both need about 70-some-odd yards. I don't know if either team really focuses in on the run. Kyler Murray likes to run around and do that, the ending of the Benny Hill show in most plays and throw the ball while he's scrambling. And Breece Hall, I've always thought a little bit underused. I'm going to go under on that one. I'm not with your mother on that particular pick here. Now I'm going to say no.
Disagreeing with Mama Whitlock. All right, this is, to me, the most interesting. I'm not going to call it the best game of the week, but it's the most interesting. Steelers at Commanders. And it's interesting because this, to me, is the first game where we can really assess what's going on with Russell Wilson. Has he made a difference for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Yes, they're 6-2. Yes, they've won with Russell Wilson. But this is a game where I think the Steelers are going to have to score 28, 27 points to win. The Commanders are going to put points on the board. I know Jaden Daniels is kind of backing up a bit, but this will be very fascinating to me, what Russell Wilson and the Steelers offense are able to accomplish. Washington is a 2.5-point favorite. I'm going with Mike Tomlin and Russell Wilson here to hop on that money line. I think they win this game outright. Steve, you say?
I'm going to take Washington. And another thing that Trump needs to do by executive order, can we make them the Redskins again? Come on. This is what that's the command. All right. They're at home. And you're right. Jaden Daniels, his production is starting to decline, but he's still been solid. He's protected that football. This is a particular game. He's going to have to get that ball out quick. I believe that the Commanders are a team that is on the rise. They have some momentum. And I'm still not completely convinced that the Steelers are as good as their record. So I'm going to take Washington in this spot at home.
You want to arbitrate this one, Butter?
I don't need to arbitrate. Y'all know how I feel about Russell Wilson.
Yeah, MVP.
Yeah,
Your
I
MVP.
forgot about that. Yeah, your MVP.
Your MVP.
My mama Whitlock agrees with Butter here. She's got Russell Wilson with more than 217 passing yards. I'm just on a feel-good story. I'm going to agree with her and hope that she's right. Steve, you say?
I'm going to say, I'll say less. The Steeler offense just kind of looks, it doesn't look in sync. But if they do fall behind, maybe they get some garbage points late. But I expect a relatively low-scoring game here, so I want to say less.
All right, well, thank you, Steve. Safe travels to Atlanta. Enjoy the crime that you're about to participate in and watch in Atlanta as the U cheat another team out of victory. Steve, we'll see you next week. You guys don't go anywhere. Shemeka Michelle's going to join me. We're going to talk about the mayor of Baltimore and this silly video he's put out racializing this whole election deal. Then we'll hear from the chat. And then I got some stuff I need to get off my chest about Caitlin Clark to wrap up the week. We'll do that as well. Shemeka Michelle, next. They like keeping secrets. No. We killing babies for the betterment of society. No, you killing babies because you believe in killing babies and you have no respect for life. I have a modicum of respect for Bill Maher because he's honest about it. Yeah, it's murder. And I'm good with that. That's what's on the ballot today. Are you good with murder? Babies. Babies that have done nothing. This is an abomination. And they have run a presidential campaign based off the argument Donald Trump put 3 people on the Supreme Court that overturned Roe v. Wade. He must be eliminated. They are clearly saying, man, this man made it harder for us to kill babies. He must be thrown out of office. We will try to assassinate him. We will try to put him in prison. We will rig up an election and cheat in every way possible to punish the man that stopped us from killing babies anytime and anywhere we wanted to. And those of you that call yourself Christians, decent people, you gonna vote for Kamala under the pretense of, well, I just don't like Donald Trump. Your hatred of Trump trumps your fear of God. All right, welcome back. Shemeka Michelle. Why they got the camera on Butter? Butter's voice don't sound like mine. Shemeka Michelle, welcome back to the show. Butter was, luckily I made it back. Butter wouldn't know what to do. Shemeka, I want to play you a clip of Mayor Brandon Scott. America, based on this past election, it's proof. America doesn't deserve black women or black people. Let's play the clip.
It is really on my heart this morning to say that as a man, but more importantly as a black man, that this country does not deserve black women or black people, but specifically black women. This morning I woke up and I just gave my wife a hug because I know how heavy this is weighing on black women. And they have carried this country and saved this country too many times and continue to be the most disrespected human beings on the planet. And it, quite frankly, it disgusts me. I'm thinking about the world that we're going to bring our daughter into in a few months. And I want the vice president to know that her and her team did everything right in the right way. But the unfortunate reality is that this country is still steeped in racism, sexism, and misogyny. I am personally proud of her, and I know that so many others are the same. We appreciate her tenacity, her focus, her decency, and how she handled herself throughout this campaign.
America does not deserve black women. They've saved this country over and over and over again. The work they did during the Civil War, when they stormed the beaches of Normandy, when he talks about black women like they're Jesus Christ. And I'm sure this man it sounds like he has no connection to a biblical worldview, and that's his right. But this is classic idolatry, that he's placed women, and particularly black women, on some pedestal of idolatry, and it's just inappropriate. From the very beginning, when he said, as a man, and more importantly, as a black man, being a black man is superior to being a man, is what he's arguing there, or suggesting there. You couldn't pay me to visit Baltimore at this point. If this is the type of leadership that they have, that the people there would elect someone this simple-minded and this idolatrous, no wonder Baltimore is in such chaos and decay. Your thoughts, Shemeka?
Yeah, Jason, he sounds like a man who pees in the bed, because what type of weak, wussy mess is this? And I'm giving him W's to cover that L. That was so weak, Jason. Why would you roll over in the bed and snuggle under your wife because of a rejection of one so-called black woman? There is nothing more unattractive than a weak man without a plan. Even if he felt like Kamala should win, what you do is stand 10 toes down and tell your wife, I'm still going to protect you. I'm still going to provide for you. So we gonna be all right. Hit that Kendrick Lamar. We gonna be all right. And if you're an old man, everything is gonna be all right. Because other than that, you sound weak and it's unattractive. What does he mean America doesn't deserve black women? What it seems like is America doesn't desire a fake one. She wasn't a good candidate. She was an illegitimate choice, and she had nothing to offer. That's the bottom line. Let's stop lying and tell the truth, and then maybe they can do better going forward.
Shemeka, I love you to death, but you put me in bad spots. This is the most transparent show in all of YouTube and anywhere in the media space. And so because of my transparency, I'm about to confess to something that you forced me into confessing to. Back when I used to drink, like in a serious way, I occasionally will have a cocktail now. But I've had a birthday or two where I drank a lot and I pissed in the bed. And so I have to cop to that. Just out of transparency.
There's some things you don't have to cop to. That's not one of them.
Well, she called the man weak and said he peed in the bed, and so I'm like,
he wasn't drunk.
Oh. Well, I just want to be crystal clear that I've made that mistake. It has happened to me. Not in a long time.
Was there anybody else in the bed with you?
I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about who woke me up. But that's the old me, and I've been
Cindy.
delivered from that, and that's why I'm so appreciative of God, because I've been delivered from that kind of heathen, irresponsible behavior, and I don't drink like that anymore. But anyway, I just wanted to enter that into the record. But this whole, could you imagine living in Baltimore and being white, and this is how your mayor talks? He's not concerned about representing everybody. He's concerned about, oh, my wife was upset, Kamala Harris, and so I got to come out as the spokesman for an entire city and talk about how my wife was feeling. So I got to say all these things to make my wife feel better. And so now when he goes home, his wife perhaps will do things to him that she normally doesn't do, or she only does on their anniversary or on, I don't know what the motivation is here. This is not, and if it is sound politically in Baltimore, it says something really terrible about Baltimore, and it says something about a level of racial idolatry and bigotry that's tolerated in Baltimore. And maybe that's the problem with Baltimore. Maybe that's why the city has all the issues that it has. Maybe it's not the white man. Maybe it's our mentality and the mentality that we tolerate from our so-called leaders.
Yeah, Jason, who he should be hugging up to are the students of Baltimore, because in high school, they are at 29% proficiency at grade level or above in reading, 10% for math, and it's less for the kids in the younger grades. So that's who he should be hugging up to and apologizing to for failing them in their education, because these kids will never stand a chance at holding political office or going on to be some type of president or CEO of a company, because they can't read and they can't do math. So while he's sitting here whining about how Black women should feel, he should be really worried and focused about the kids in his district, because that's sad that they are so behind.
Justin just made an interesting point that it's a really interesting point. And when I hear a guy talk this way and bring his wife into it, I hear a guilty conscience. I hear someone trying to play makeup for perhaps mistakes. And it always makes me go, oh, okay, this dude just got busted. His wife done read his DMs, or his wife done figured out his password on his cell phone, and he's got to go sit out here and beat his chest and tell his mistress or whoever he cheated with, I'm married, and I want my wife to know, I let everybody know I'm married, and ignore them DMs, baby. And this is again why I keep saying that the price of true leadership is you have to live righteously. They can't have dirt on you. You can't be compromised. And I'm just his statement makes no sense. And the guy just won re-election 2 days ago. But I saw somewhere where they said Maryland's got a Black governor, a Black mayor in Baltimore, and so maybe something else Black, and
Black
then they got Lamar Jackson.
Or something.
Black quarterback. Yeah, and I was like, and you know what? They got a lot of problems too. So quit focusing on the color, and do they have leadership that actually has solutions rather than leadership that constantly has excuses for whatever the problem is? And the number one excuse, they're racist, and it's. I thought this morning. I'm gonna end on this note, but I want you to react to this, Shemeka. I honestly don't think at this point, having seen what I've seen, having seen live 57 years, and having seen when I was a kid, interracial dating was a big deal. Big deal. You know, somebody crossed the street dating-wise, everybody be talking about it, parents would be upset, blah, 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 blah. And now it's nothing. No one cares. They just swiping right and left. They on Match.com, they on Tinder, they on whatever. No one cares. And so I truly believe no one even bigoted white people, they don't really care about skin color. All they care about is your values. Are you playing your music too loud? Are your kids causing me trouble? Are you, do you cut your grass? And I said this morning, people think I'm crazy. The Grand Wizard of the KKK, if a black family moved in next door to him and they cut their grass and didn't play their music loud and didn't bother him, I don't think he would care, period. That's where we are with racism at this point as it relates to black, white. People just want good neighbors that share their values. And I just, it seems like we are the most focused on, it doesn't matter if white people are good neighbors, they're still evil. If they've done nothing to you, they're still evil. They're just waiting for the right moment. I know their daughter's dating your son, but they're just waiting for the right moment to be racist. These people, Brandon Scott and these people, their only path to power is pretending they're fighting white racism. They have nothing, and it's all pretending. They have nothing else to offer.
I agree, Jason. And I was just telling someone last night, the best place to see that or that I saw that was at a Trump rally. When people say, oh, be careful, or, oh, you know, they hate you, you don't get that feeling at all. It's literally people in there that just want to serve God, serve their family, and serve their country. Race doesn't even come into play, but you hear it more on the left. People not wanting you to say something because you're black or they're black and it's a black woman and everything is black, black, black. And I was also talking to someone who's really tired of hearing black women play the victim role. Like no one is interested in that anymore. And if black women are honest, men are not trying to control your bodies, because if they could, if what they thought actually mattered to you, you wouldn't be so fat and out of shape. So let's stop with the whole pretending they're trying to control you with abortion. If they could control your body, you would be more fit.
I want to make one additional point on this, because it's this point, this mentality has really come home to me living here in Nashville. You know, seeing all this live music, all this live country music, being in crowds where there's not many black people, and where is it most likely that I will get physically harmed at a concert? A Zach Bryan concert or a Lil Wayne concert? Where am I most likely to get physically harmed? Maybe at a Zach Bryan concert, maybe someone might say something to me, who knows? But in terms of physically harmed, taken home in a body bag, chalked off by police, it's at the rap concert. Just, if I go to a nightclub, which one is going to require me to go through a metal detector to make sure I'm not carrying a gun and to make sure no one else is carrying a gun and more likely to be shot at, as opposed to me going to Duck Blind or Winners Loser, any of these places? I got to stop. What was popping in the chat?
All right, so are you ready for Joseph Morrison today? The Stephen A. and Kevin Durant? You may be safe, Jason, because I didn't see him in the chat today. So maybe we can hold that for Monday.
My God.
We're going to have to set an alarm on your watch.
Yeah, we are.
Something.
It's somebody in the morning. Joseph Morrison, he may have to give me his Cash App, and I'm going to Cash App him back $100 for the I feel so terrible. Next.
Get Right 904T DTWD says Molly said today on air she called Stephen A. Smith future president and came out of nowhere. So people were in the chat agreeing that you're onto something, Jason. Nobody likes the messenger. I'm sorry. He He says you dropped the ball. Stephen A. Smith has had Cuomo on his show 3 times in 1 month. I was the only person in Stephen A. Smith's comments 2 days ago letting him know I see the move. So don't pat yourself on the back.
Well, hold on, brother. Go listen to this show 8-10 months ago when I reviewed his book and told y'all this book is written like a man that wants to run for president. I've been on this case for 10 months. Congratulations to you 2 days ago, getting where I was at 10 months ago. I just saw something the other where Shaq said yesterday, hey, the 3-point shot is what's killing the NBA. And I was like, man, if y'all wait 3 days, 3 months, 3 years, people eventually say everything that I'm saying. And so here's another example. I said it 10 months ago, and thank you for the chat, but, I was on this case a long time ago. Anyway, continue. Next.
Philip Rouse says political qualifications went straight out the window when Trump decided to put his name in the hat.
There's some truth to that, but there's no comparison between Donald Trump and Stephen A. Smith as it relates to political qualification. Donald Trump, for decades, was doing international business deals long before he was president, dealing with foreign leaders long before he was president, just because his financial strings went that far. Donald Trump, just being an entrepreneur, not an employee, but an employer and a real employer for decades, puts him well ahead of Stephen A. Smith and me and anybody else that's running a podcast. Stephen A. Smith is an employee of Disney. Donald Trump, I think, has always been an employer. That's a whole different leadership structure than taking a check from Bob Iger and Disney to promote the alphabet agenda. Completely different. Next.
These last two I'll read together, Jason. D. Yates says Stephen A. Smith was actually on my favorite conservative talk shows the other day, and I was impressed. He was on with Andrew Wilkow. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and I give him credit. RT the Brand says he might be a perfect fit. Then they have enough dirt on him to control him if he tries to get out of line.
Let me go back to the first one. You see what I'm talking about, Butter? This is what I'm talking about. The first one she read, there are people going for this. And he's going on all of these political podcasts, and there are people going for this. I would love for someone to put a globe up or a map of the world and ask Stephen A. Smith to say, now, you really want to be president? Show me where Istanbul is. Show me where India is. Show me, do you know anything about it? Have you been there? He's not qualified, but people are going for it, Butter. That's my point.
I hear you. Shemeka, are there any more chats, or is that it?
That's it. She said that was...
I just wanted to say something before we wrapped up. So if there's more, go ahead. But I just wanted to go along with your predictions in support of it. These things that Jason has called early, just like the Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowl this year, Right?
I can't control Jerry Jones. And, I said that it was a stupid prediction. You're right. Just let me cop to that. Shemeka, enjoy your weekend. We ain't got to go nowhere. We'll wave goodbye to Shemeka, and I'm going to transition right into a daily dose of Caitlin Clark. I know you guys have missed this. I have, as we covered the election, but I got to keep you all up to date on what's going on with my girl, Caitlin Clark. I want to play you a clip of Candace Parker, who has a claim to be one of the greatest women's basketball players of all time. She's scolding the media for burying women's sporting events for years and saying this has been going on long before Caitlin Clark. Anyway, play the clip.
And so what's your role in that? I think my role in that is understanding through past growth. And that's why everybody was yelling from the rooftop, WNBA, blah, blah, blah. It's 28 years young.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of leagues that it took to year 30 to really make a growth. So it's coming, whether it comes at 28, 29, 31, and we've seen it. The crazy thing that I think it's little fixes, and this is where my role is to question and to push and to encourage. ABC, it was the first time they put the women's NCAA game on ABC. Was the first year that Caitlin Clark made the championship game. Are you surprised that the viewership was up? Are you surprised that people actually saw the product? It was buried for so long on ESPN. There's so many times during the NCAA game and even the WNBA playoffs, I turn on, the NBA doesn't want to clash with NFL playoffs or NFL opening week. So why would we then put the WNBA, I don't care if that's the time slot that they're giving you. Let's fight for another one or let's find something else. And I think with streaming, with social media, now it's more front and center. You're seeing the leaders of, and I'm sorry, I'm passionate about this. So, So now you look at statistics within social media and following, and it's Paige Beckers. She had more followings than Suggs, who was a top 4 pick. She had more following than Anthony Edwards when he was coming into the league. So now you're able to look at social media and see what the following is, the clicks, the likes, what they're selling, you know, what people are looking for. And you're now able to see that, okay, wait, women can sell things. And I think that is my role, is to continue to push the envelope of what that looks like, of visibility, but also like having relationships to be able to build what you're trying to build.
There's a huge war over credit. Who's going to get credit for the growth of women's basketball? And rather than celebrate Caitlin Clark and the gift that she's brought to them, they would rather argue and wrestle, this time politely, relatively politely, but they just want to take these subtle jabs of, no, it's not Caitlin Clark. This was all happening before Caitlin Clark. There's plenty of businesses that lose millions upon millions of dollars for 28 straight years, and then in year 28 or 29, then experience growth. That happens all the time. Do you know any failing businesses that fail 28 straight years in a row? No, it doesn't happen. And so and again, Candace Parker, I get it, her ego, and they want to go down in history, and they want to be pioneers, and, oh, we built this league, and blah, 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 and y'all giving all this credit to this white woman and Caitlin Clark and ABC. They didn't even put us on ABC until Caitlin Clark. They did this for this white girl. That's what she's saying. We were buried on ESPN. Really? Buried on ESPN is getting buried? Really? I mean, it's not ABC, but cut it out. Buried on, this would be like NBA players in the 70s saying, man, this game was great. Had we not been relegated to showing replays at midnight of the NBA Finals, the product wasn't any good. It took Magic Johnson and Larry Bird to come to the league to elevate the relevance of the NBA, to get it off of late night replays at midnight of their NBA Finals. It took Magic and Larry to do that. Caitlin Clark is Magic and Larry. Give her credit. Give her flowers, as you all like to say. They put it on ABC because there was so much demand and they had a chance to reach a wider audience. That's why they put it on ABC. But things aren't buried on ESPN. It ain't like hey, we'll run this on ESPN News or ESPN2 if those things even exist. It wasn't like, hey, we'll put it on FS2, Fox Sports 2. It was on ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, and people didn't want it. Come to grips with that. There are two groups, or there's a person and a group that deserve credit for the WNBA growth. Caitlin Clark and the NBA and the men that have funded this charity basketball league for 28 years. I just don't, this, we've had a lot of conversation today about black women and the worship of black women, and they've been saving America, blah, 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 for years and years and years. They will not give credit to anybody other than themselves. It's the group of most entitled and ungrateful demographic in the history of America. Candace Parker should be on TV and promote like, hey, man, and again, Megan Rapinoe, none of these women, these feminists are any different. Men didn't do anything for us. They exploited us. No. Men for 28 straight years have sacrificed their own money financing a league that lost millions of dollars every year for your benefit. Men sacrificed for Candace Parker. Now Caitlin Clark comes in and she's having to deal with all of the hatred, vitriol, undermining, subtle shots. Her fans are racist, which is another way of saying there's something racist about her that attracts racist people. She's having her reputation smeared instead of these women turning around and saying, hey, man, I'm so glad Caitlin Clark's here, and now other people get to see our league and how great it is, and I'm appreciative of these men that sacrificed and loaned us money and financed this league, and now they're letting us fly private, and they're going to lose $50 million this year on the WNBA. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's what you do not hear nearly enough from black women. Thank you. Everything is about, oh, they're the most mistreated demographic in the planet. No, they're the most coddled demographic on the planet. Those are just facts. This isn't hatred. Every college in America is offering up scholarships and funding, and hey, your SAT scores don't have to meet these standards. We bring these black women on. Again, you wonder why they're the most educated demographic, blah, blah, because the entire academic system has been pandering to them. They got program after program for black women. They don't have nothing for black boys. Everything is about the black woman this, the black woman that, and she's so entitled, so coddled, that gratitude and thankful don't even enter her mind. And so Caitlin Clark now has to be diminished and just very subtly spit upon. So Candace Parker say, no, I did this. And we did this. And black women built this league. No, black women survived off the charity of black men. And y'all will reap all the benefits that men provide and then turn back around and spit on men and say you've done nothing for me. This ain't just black women, this is these white feminist women, this is women in general, and a handful of women, particularly white women, stood up this election cycle and said, you know what? I appreciate men. You know what? I got it good because of men. Let me support this masculinity and male energy, and let me show my support and gratitude by going into this voting booth and pulling this lever for Donald Trump and dealing with being reviled and talked about and smeared. That's how you say thank you. And trust me, we appreciate it. And there's some black women. Shemeka's not the only one, but there's some black, Angela Stanton King, there's other women that I see doing this. Fall in line, do that, and watch how good men will be to you in return. So good that they'll let you create a basketball league that loses money for 30 straight years. Go on, keep on playing, baby. No problem. We got you. That's what men do. Caitlin Clark's clearly been raised by some good people because she don't snap on these ungrateful, heathen, entitled idiots the way that I like to. Well, maybe one day she'll have a podcast and she'll do that. Anyway, that's all I got. Butter, I do want to warn you, next week, we got to talk about what's going on with Zach Bryan and Barstool, and
it's building.
It's built. It's a full-blown fire. We didn't have time to get to it today, but it's fascinating to me. This woman turned down a $12 million NDA so she could go out and tell the truth on Zach Bryan, or her version of the truth. Who knows if it's the full truth? But anyway, we'll do that next week. You guys enjoy your weekend. We'll play tomorrow, and we'll see you next week.
Freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, no deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be, I just want